Listening to the John Doe Radio Show.
America, listen to this.
Marijuana growers do things differently in Canada. Instead of fences or dogs, one pair of cultivators employed bears to guard their illicit crop. When police in British Columbia visited suspected marijuana growers, they found 10 black bears surrounding the house, protecting more than 1,000 marijuana plants. A man and a woman were arrested, but the big animals weren't doing such a good job. They were so tame that officers posed for photographs with them. The bears were fed dog food and vegetables, and if they become aggressive, may have to be destroyed. Mayor of Grand Forks, Brian Taylor, has an unusual theory about the marijuana crop's uses.
He was simply trying to raise enough money so she could continue to feed her bear friends.
And if it all goes to pot while their caretakers are in the joint, the bears can ease their hunger with a nibble on some weed. Tara Cleary, Reuters.
It's the John Doe Radio Show.
Suburbs in every ghetto, making mad noise with that funked out metal. Now I speak on behalf of my fellows. Got an urgent matter that we just must settle. Don't want anybody's fucking pity, I'm paid. Doggies good off these rhymes I say. What's up, it says sex all day. From the south side of California, hey. I don't wanna go, don't want your pity for show. All I want is every damn city out here to know what I came for. Knock down your door, gonna come on, just like I did here before. Now, anybody think a nigga take me, try to ace me, fucking erase me. Don't even think about doing something hasty. Just face me, don't try to embrace me. I'm ready to ride on anybody, get you scared when you hear this nigga rap. I adjust to any damn format. I don't take shit and everybody knows that. I'll switch, I'll beat that ass so fast. Don't start no shit up, it won't last. I'm ready to battle, squabble, rumble, hunt you in the jungle. I don't want you, don't want your pity for show. All I want is every damn city out here to know what I came for. I come here to knock down your door, gonna come up, just like I did here before. Let's believe it, we keep scheming, that is how we keep conceiving. I rock the fucking bells, kick those styles with a hardcore yell. Kill like a demon straight out of hell. Got what it takes to make a record sell. SX10 here we run game. Hardcore shit, fools just can't fade. Send off the nigga will never be trained. Put that funk right to your brain. I don't want you, don't want your pity for show. All I want is every damn city out here to know what I came for. I come here to knock down your door, gonna come up, just like I did here before.
It's the John Doe Radio Show.
The human brain is made for thinking, not pubic experiment. It's hardly a tinker toy for experimenting. Not pubic with drugs.
White
do we talk about marijuana? It's the single biggest drug that is a source of some confusion.
This is really about educating the public about the fact that marijuana is a less harmful drug.
Marijuana, that's to get high. You can be as high as you want.
The prohibition of marijuana over the last 71 years has not actually prevented you from using marijuana.
You feel weak.
Close to winning the war on drugs.
I do believe there have been some successes.
We will never arrest our way out of this problem.
Welcome to the John Doe Radio Show. I am your host, John Doe, with Derek.
What up?
We're hanging out here with Sendog this week on the show, and lots of great news and conversation and talk. And I'll tell you right now, I'm a big fan of this week's show, and I'm going to go back and listen to it because I don't have to listen to myself the whole show. Derek chimes in quite a bit, and in fact, a ton. And
right.
This was your week to highlight.
Yeah. I went, and it's going to sound stupid, so I'm just going to have to apologize now.
Yeah. No.
But, we recorded about 80% of the show.
99% of the show was recorded, and Derek got an unfortunate message, and he's having a hard time right now making it through it. One of his patients died. Is that cool to say? That's cool to say, right?
I'm gonna have to. I'll just write about it.
Yeah, so he'll write about it.
On today, and she's a real special patient. She's one of those people that would have never thought to use marijuana, and then found real relief in unfortunately what turned out to be the latter stages of her life.
But she used marijuana, and I tell you right now, if you think that there's just people trying to get money in this business, that it's just people that don't give a damn besides anything but getting high, you sit in a room with somebody like Derek. I'm even having a hard time, keep it together right now. I'm an emotional guy, and I understand these type of things, but, seeing what Derek is going through right now and him knowing what his patient's gone through and me knowing what other patients have gone through, this is why we fight for what we do when it comes with medical marijuana, And there's other reasons why we do what we do with recreational marijuana, but
and just recently won our patient appreciation dinner that I made, and I was so excited when I seen
she was the one that did that you cooked that dinner for.
Yeah, I was excited when I seen that she had won.
Wow.
Because I had been told by. It's hard because I'm not in the shop as much either when I'm working to get all this crap figured out. But I used to look forward to seeing her like on Saturdays. She'd come in for a massage, and she was, her health was declining.
Yeah.
And after she won that, one of my employees actually kind of sparked me in the ass and said, "Hey, make sure you should think about getting that meal for Ann." And it was I guess 2 weeks ago, that we served it up. So
yeah, for people that don't know, you cooked, you gave away a fully medicated meal to one of your patients at the dispensary in Harmony Wellness, and
it was like our 1 year kind of celebration. Thanks for being around with us for 1 year, and we just auctioned or raffled off a bunch of things for our patients, and one of them was a medicated meal, and I was happy that Ann won. And it was funny because, like I said, I was expecting to have somebody win and then give them the meal that I cooked. And after she won, I went in and I found there's a note that had like the exact meal that she wanted, and I was like, well, I didn't have any plans on cooking this, so it was funny, and I turned it, and let's see if I found that thing. It was it's been cooked and delivered. Organic chicken breast stuffed with sage, thyme, and rosemary, and organic hash oil garlic paste served on a bed of medicated roasted potatoes with onion, zucchini juliets, and squash rounds sauteed in a medicated ghee. A whole carrot cake, medicated, of course. So that was the meal. Like, she essentially requested skinless chicken breast, zucchini, and potatoes. And so that narrowed down my menu at least, and I was able to, figure out what to do. And I came up with this incredibly strong hash oil garlic paste that I guess, and actually because it was crazy, I don't know if I might have talked about this even, but I was locked out of my car that day at the grocery store because my keys were, unbeknownst to me, transferred to another cart, and or my groceries were transferred to another cart that my keys did not remain attached to, and I had to get this meal cooked for her, and Ann had, you know, pretty regular bedtime pretty early, so we were trying to get her the dinner by like 6. It didn't make it there till like 7:15, and she had already went to bed, and it was heartbreaking. And then we found out later that she had actually went to bed, but after the meal got there, it was just sitting there in the warm foil, and it actually woke her up, and the smell. So she woke up and was able to eat, and you know, she actually, I was able to talk to her even once, at least once since then, and
nice.
She was really raving about the zucchini and the carrot cake. So
yeah, man, I mean, you cook a good meal, and really any meal that's medicated and a good meal is a good treat. So I feel for you, man. I definitely do. And it's like you said, you got this. We were about 90%, 99% done with recording the show. Derek got a bad phone call, you know, as you know, he's a caregiver. He is.
That's the way it's like my 4th or 5th patient, you know, like
Department of Health likes to not think of you as a caregiver.
Dude, and I don't even want you to edit this right now. If that's not what you think, f you, because
I can't keep that in there.
Oh,
like people know what you're saying.
Yeah, but
I hear what you're saying.
It's crazy when I hear people talk like that. I was working out of my apartment, my condo, and I got to a point where I couldn't help the people that were asking me for help. So when I opened up 16 months ago, it was because I needed a safe place for people like Ann to go. I always say I needed a place where I would feel comfortable referring my grandma. Not to somebody's house, not to meet somebody at 7-Eleven, not to meet behind the grocery store, not to set somebody up for potential tragedy. A safe place with handicap access to the restroom and the doors where anybody could feel comfortable going. And because I made that change and was able to help more people, they put a tag on me that I don't even know what the hell it is. I don't know what a marijuana center is. I know that Amendment 20 affords me the right to be a caregiver and dispense marijuana for medicinal use in Amendment 20. So, like I said, we're fighting a new age of prohibition where people are just afraid to admit that they've been wrong for this long. And so instead of being fed racism, they won't even acknowledge the fact that it was based on racism. They just acknowledge the fact that that's what they were taught for 30 years or whatever. So they're going to refuse any other point of view because they don't want to admit that they were suckered for that long.
Yeah. I agree.
And whether it's the government or teachers or law enforcement or moms or dads or kids trying to say something to their parents, it doesn't matter. You know, the truth of the matter is this is a non-harmful substance, and it doesn't matter how basic you break it down. The only problems in marijuana result from the prohibition of marijuana. You know, like
really, that's
Julie told me this morning that I needed to get one of those syringes to Ann, and I was like, oh, for sure. Stopped at my house on the way, ran back so I'd have an extra one for the 2 samples I have, then to leave one at my shop so she could have one. And now, you know, if this wasn't hidden from everybody, or if it wasn't for the fact that Dare ruined people's opinion of what this might be, maybe it would have been 2 years ago that she found this.
Yeah,
right
you're talking about the Phoenix Tears that you offer now at your dispensary. You offer
I haven't even finished the packaging for it. It's just,
but they come in sucker syringes, and that's what you mentioned, syringe, and it's not an actual syringe that you shoot up with.
It comes like a medication syringe that you would take oral dosage.
Yeah, oral dosage syringe. So, but
if nothing else, to make someone comfortable, and just the unbelievable, you know, and I'll blame the state or whoever the hell it is for wasting my fucking time for the past 2 months, you know, when I've been wanting to develop all these products and get them to my patients. Instead, I've been
having to deal with
filling out paperwork and bullshit so I can sell the safest plant known to man and because people are paranoid about it, and because of that, my product development has been pushed back months, and it took me last week. Like I said, I was just this week. Am I to a point where I'm able to offer this, confidently to patients? Yeah. And if it would have been 2 months ago, if I wouldn't have been dicking around with this bullshit paperwork, and there's more licensing than a liquor store or a casino or a check cashing place or any other business you could think to open, we have more licensing requirements, and I promise you, whatever it is that you sell, it's killed more people than what I sell.
Hopefully you can take everything that Derek just kind of said from his heart and run with it, and understand that this is more than just what the other side tells us that it is. That it's everything and probably more than anything can prove right now. So I thank Derek could have just said, you know what, I can't finish this out, left, got in his car, went home to go deal with this that he's dealing with, to go pay his condolences to the family or whatever it is. But he stayed. He wanted to kind of give that story. He wanted to finish stuff up, and I mean, I thank you for that, dude, and I'm sure the fans are going to thank you for that. And I tell you what, if one person understands a little bit more from your feelings, what we're trying to do with this whole thing, that's worth a lot in itself, dude. All right, big thanks to Sendog this week, and big thanks to everybody that helped out with news. You guys are starting to send in more and more news pieces, and I'll get those on more and more, so send those, johndoe@johndoeradio.com. I'm also going to be setting up a new email for the giveaways. I'll tell you about that next week a little bit more, and you'll hear stuff in the giveaway here in a minute. Also want to make sure that I tell you guys about an event going on in Denver this weekend. A bunch of my friends are putting on together, Jenny Cush and Girls for Ganja. They're having a car wash and a fundraiser at Pharmaceuticals. That's at 4 South Santa Fe Drive in Denver, between 6th Avenue and Alameda on Santa Fe from 11:30 to 7. That's this Sunday coming up. And what date is that? Let me make sure I got the date here. Sunday, the 29th of August. That's at Pharmaceuticals in Denver, 4 South Santa Fe Drive, between 6th Avenue and Alameda. Not insanely far from where the JDR studios are at, so I'll probably be down there saying what's up to everybody, and I think that's about it for the intro. That's about all that can be said. Enough was said. It's the John Doe Radio Show.
John Doe Radio. Free swag.
In JDR giveaway news this week, a twist to something that we were going to do, and a Silver Surfer Vaporizer giveaway. I guess we'll start with the Silver Surfer Vaporizer giveaway first. That might be a shorter.
Gave it away.
Now.
Because he was giving them away.
Silver Surfer, awesome company. The parent company is Silver Surfer is called 7th Floor. If you'd like to check those guys out, just Google 7th Floor Industries, Silver Surfer Vaporizers, and you'll come up with dime bags, Silver Surfer Vaporizers, the Buddha Vaporizer, and Adam actually won the Silver Surfer Vaporizer. Adam Hand, who prints up our t-shirts, he's in Washington, and is an awesome dude, asked us if it was cool if he printed up t-shirts, put his logo on the back of them, and took them to HempFest. And I said, obviously, that would be totally cool, dude. So thank you very much, Adam, for that. He took care of John Doe Radio, so we're going to take care of him. Let me know, Adam, too, if you want a Silver Surfer, if you want a Buddha, or if there's something else from Silver Surfer that you dig. Those guys are really awesome, and I can't tell you how much they've loved giving stuff away through us. So, really cool dudes, Steve, and all the guys down there. Great. All right.
They hook it up. I need to have them give me some of the special accoutrements that go with the Silver Surfer, because you're all tricked out over here with the Silver Surfer accessories, and I have none. I want, I seen a little dragon.
The
down.
They get cooler than that, dude. We went down there, and last time I was down at the factory, there was this guy who was impaled on a nail, this off the top of the Silver Surfer, a cool little art piece of artwork. They're getting funky with it, dude.
I need a whip. I need a nice green and white whip.
They'll do
white and black whip for me.
They'll do anything you want to do, anything you want to do.
Yeah, actually, I talked to the older gentleman who's there. I can't even remember his name still, but first time I had him up to the Harvest Cup like 2.5 years ago or whatever, 3 years ago. He's who came with Steve, so he's the one that does like their trade shows a lot in the booths. But I talked to him about getting some. I want to get Cannabis Strong vaporizers done, and I just want to have them already custom or pre-built. You know, like a white vape with the green.
Yeah.
Cannabis Strong and a green bottom. You know, real nice with all of the essentials already packed in. You know, in like one pack. So. However I need to structure it, I want to do that with them, and I talked a little bit with him, but I want to make it down to the actual factory. All these trips you've went on, I've missed every one.
That would be easy, dude. Easy to get done. I guarantee they would be down to work with that.
Some custom green and black and white whips or something, you know, like.
Dude, and that's another thing I was going to say that I would love to get. I don't have tricked out. The only thing I don't really have tricked out is the whip. You can get colored whips now, not just the clear, regular, you know, food tube that you can get. We went down there, and there was like black and green.
That, dude, you can get hand blown. F that.
No, not like you can't get hand blown.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the tube, the tubing. The plastic tubing is colored.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, no, the actual wand.
Yeah,
that's like you can get the hand blown, and I'd love to get it like a JDR little like piece in this. A little bubble with the JDR logo or something. I don't even know. Or our logos. I don't know. They'll do anything you want. SilverSurferVAP.com as Derek whips out the food. Ruffles
Fat
potato
bastard.
chips. Holy crap.
What
And you got dip
unhealthy
too.
bastard I am.
You even got dip.
Chips and dip.
Oh, we got to get on to the other.
meal.
We said this was going to be the short one. We went on for like 5 minutes on this thing. And also a little switch up to what we were doing with the Easy Cloner from Kyle's Grow Shop.
Build a sculpture out of an Easy Cloner.
Yeah, build a sculpture. Yeah.
No.
Somebody posted up on my Facebook, like when I posted up the giveaway idea that we're about ready to do, I gave him a little heads up on Facebook what it was, and somebody posted, "What's an Easy Cloner? And how do you make a piece of art out of it?" I think we were reading a smart ass there.
I haven't even read how you wrote it, so I don't know if it was being a smart ass or if it was somebody that didn't understand your directions or if it was just somebody that really is thinking about trying to use an Easy Cloner to make art.
No, it was, dude, all right, here's the deal. I'll read it. We'll intro him to the contest by me reading exactly what I wrote, the 2-line sentence here. All right, we're going to give away the Easy Cloner from Kyle's Grow Shop. Check out kylesgrowshop.com. And this is what I wrote. If you live in Colorado and can pick up an Easy Cloner 60-site hydro cloner, an Easy Clone 60.
He's realizing right now as he's rereading it that he's the one that did it.
No, I'm not.
Okay, reread it as it stands.
I screwed up reading it. If you live in Colorado and can pick up an Easy Clone 60-site hydro cloner, ... create a piece of art for our studio and submit it to win. That is plain and simple and clear.
That is plain and simple that people are going to be trying to buy an Easy Cloner and make a piece of art out of it for the studio.
No, it's not.
Whoever that was, I agree with you.
Whatever, you just argue and argue. Who would go pick up an almost $300 piece of equipment and create a piece of art for it just to show up?
Nobody.
All right, then.
I think that was maybe his point.
If you live in Colorado and can pick up an Easy Clone 60-site hydro cloner, create a piece of art for our studio.
Okay, let me rephrase that for you. If you create a piece of marijuana-themed art and live in Colorado to pick up the grand prize of the Easy Cloner, please submit.
If you couldn't understand what I wrote, you might not be able to create a piece of art.
Read it again. It sounds like you're saying if you can pick up a piece of an Easy Cloner, make a piece of art, bring it to the studio, then what? Then you can win the Easy Cloner?
Create a piece of art for our studio, submit it to win the Easy Cloner. Like, I don't get that's hard about that. But anyway, it's fine, all right? If you want an idea of cool art too, I want to make sure that I get this in because you got something cool that you got on your Facebook page, an art piece that you've done made out of pills, a gun made out of pills. Kind of a message to send right there.
I'm famous.
If you can't get that message,
kiss my ring. I'm famous.
God dang.
You hear?
You were watching too much Chappelle Show before the show started is what you're doing with that one.
That actually that piece is did you even ask me or was that last time you asked me the name of it? It's zero.
Yeah, well, tell us about it. Tell us about the piece.
It's the picture's the gun that looks like pills, or the pills that are formed a shape of a gun, whatever. It's 0 refills left, of just a real personal piece of art that I had great timing on, and I was able to put it in the right people's hands. It's got published a few times. It's been showed in like 2 or 3 art shows, one international art show hosted by Johns Hopkins Medical University.
That's a cool piece of art, man. I mean,
they went on to stomp you down. Just so I don't forget, they went on to actually publish a calendar. I got a month to my own, November of last year. They it's since the discussion of art and addiction has come up, it's been published, I think, in a couple of magazines, and they actually finished by publishing a book. And of all places, I landed on page 112, my favorite place to be. But there's a nice little, it's only 2 pages. Everyone's like, oh, I can't believe they wrote a book about you. Or no, certainly not a book about me. It is 2 pages inside of a book of, obviously like 150 pages or something. But certainly it's I don't want to sound ungrateful by any means, but it was almost a little bit more special to be in the calendar, because they narrowed that down to 12 pieces of art to make it into the calendar. And the book, they've accepted hundreds of, or over 100 pieces of art made it into the book. And so it was just probably stood out a little more in the calendar, as opposed to because not to say that it's not a great piece of work, but the book is just so filled with incredible art that I don't want to get lost in the wash of incredible artists, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
I'm just letting you ramble today. It's your day to ramble. Honestly, like it's
I thought we already cut that part out.
No. We're letting you ramble.
Yeah, we did. It was in the first giveaway.
No, but even during the Sendong interview and everything else, you've got stories to tell today. I think the Phoenix Tears are making a difference in
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm like 14. No, not 14. Probably 10 days in right now on the Phoenix. No, I didn't have them last week. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yep. I think I'm like 10 or 12 days in my therapy. I'm still having problems sleeping at night, but last night it was like almost different, more restless instead of like achy. But I will tell you, I think I'm almost have fallen into the cliche of every time I grab my phone in the middle of the night to check what time it was, I used to just throw it back down, be like, oh, now I'll grab my phone in the middle of the night, look at what time it was, and my little Facebook thing is glowing on my iPhone. Oh, I wonder what these notifications are. So it's now habit to see who the hell else is up in the middle of the night. So I'm trying to get away from just posting because I'm awake in the middle of the night. But last night I thought of a good one, and it was my wonderful life of metaphors. I was going to say, you know how bad it sucks to get woke up on like a Sunday morning at 8 a.m. because your neighbor's mowing the lawn? Now imagine that bastard comes into your... imagine that it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and that son of a is mowing your back. That's the kind of pain. Because I woke up and I thought, I suddenly was jolted out of bed. And I thought I heard someone outside or something. And it was just, I was having a spasm in the middle of the night. And the last time I'd been woke up that suddenly, my neighbor was mowing my front yard for me, and which I greatly appreciate beyond the gasoline money that I've given him and the use of the dumpster. It's still very appreciated because of my wonderful physical condition. I can't, it's hard for me. So I appreciate it beyond belief. I appreciate it more when it's done when I'm not home instead of when it's done early in the morning.
You're cracking me up, dude.
Right?
Cracking me up.
But yeah, dude, so it was like literally being woke up. Yeah.
That's
Phoenix
where
Tears have been
they're the bomb, so they're helping you. Is what you ultimately you're saying. While you're eating your chips and dip, your Ruffles and dip.
I am eating.
I know. Actually, I see you're eating.
It's crazy. One thing I have been able to do is eat since I've been taking it.
I've seen you get sick because you ate before.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear. People are like, oh, Derek's eating. Big freaking deal.
Yeah, big deal.
Derek,
I'm wearing out my 3 teeth that still work, man, because I've had meat for the first time in as long as I can remember. I've had meat like 5 nights in a row. And that is just something that doesn't happen in my life. Unfortunately, I just can't. Either I'm sick, or I'm sick and I can't cook, or it's a lot of crackers. But I went out to the Whole Foods store, the new Whole Foods store up by me, and just hit them up for some meat. And they had the most incredible deal on some real nice steak, some filet, some chicken. And I was like, well, I just got a new bottle of propane. I don't care if it's just this that I'm eating. At least I'll be eating something.
I've seen reports on Whole Foods before that
it's actually Sprouts.
It's not what it says it is. The store chain, what they claim, but we're not going to get into that. But the
You've
Phoenix
already
Tears,
robbed them of their dignity and their goods, so.
I didn't touch it.
Anyways, the Phoenix Tears, they've allowed me to eat, and I feel like I might be actually gaining weight for the first time in like 10 years. I said, it's amazing that I've been able to eat meals for like 5 days in a row.
That's good, dude.
Crazy.
That's cool. And I think I've lost a few pounds over the past week.
It looks like your captors have been mean to you this week.
Dude, man, it's been a rough time, man. Money's been tight. And yeah, that's all we'll say about that. But where I was eventually going with all that is that you can now get a form of Phoenix Tears. It is not the exact Rick Simpson formula. It is a formula that Derek is don't even ask to have him divulge, because you're not gonna get it. What kind of oil? What kind of he's gonna pull it off? Whatever it is. I saw someone on Facebook asked you, what solvent do you use? Oh, you sent him a private message.
Yep, I need to delete that part, but I sent him a private message.
Guy.
I am.
But you can get Phoenix Tears with Derek.
Too nice.
At In Harmony Wellness up north in Windsor. What's that phone number and the address?
222-5555.
Wait. 222-5555.
Yeah,
970.
That was improv.
222-5555, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I won't say that they're not. Rick Simpson, let me explain something to everybody that's looking at Phoenix Tears right now. Phoenix Tears is just almost like a commercialized name for hash oil. It's not. He hasn't done anything new, and I don't think he's claiming to have done anything really new other than really publicize it. Phoenix Tears is just a form of an oil, or a hash oil, and literally we've been using this medicine for like 10,000 years as human beings, as a medicinal plant. So it would be foolish to think that Rick Simpson is the one that invented a hash oil or a hash concentrate. It's just simply not the case. It's just he's done a really good job of publicizing its results, and maybe even.
Didn't you say Rick Simpson is to Phoenix Tears as Kyle Cushman is to Strawberry Cough?
No. That was a different.
That was a different thing.
Kyle Cushman to Strawberry Cough was someone else.
Never mind then.
No, that was
But you can draw that parallel though, because he kind of made it famous, made the idea famous, right? But
now you're gonna kill me with that. It was White Deer. White Deer's situation with Essential Vape was.
Oh, all right, yeah.
He stepped in. He didn't originate it, but he's the one that made it famous.
Yeah.
But anyways,
same thing with this too, right?
How?
I don't know. Just do your thing here. I'm getting you off today. I got to learn today not to give you off when you're.
Now I don't even know where the hell I was.
You're even worse than me right now. All right, but no, the thing is, I think of what you were ultimately saying is that Rick Simpson.
It's not Rick Simpson, because Rick Simpson actually is developing them. He's wrote a recipe. He has the information out there. He has dosage information out there. He has patients that have claimed this is miraculously cured their cancer. It certainly is nothing to scoff about. A lot
of claims, a lot of heavy claims,
a lot of incredible claims. And if it's the sad part is it's just not being investigated. And part of the frustration is that. They never will investigate it. Cannabis could be the end-all, be-all cure of all cancers, and it's never going to be developed by a pharmaceutical company because they can't patent it. They can't own the rights to cannabis. It's impossible to purchase those rights. Every other medicine that they develop, they're able to patent it and make the profits off it for like 17 years. So any medicine that is basically botanical in its origin to a point where anybody can grow it, never ever investigate that as a drug simply because there is no profit behind. And that's not trying to be an ass.
They'll create drugs from the marijuana that'll be. I don't know. I think that they will honestly create drugs from marijuana in the pharmacy.
They'll go further to isolate. But I'm saying cannabis. Cannabis stands. Well, you can't put a patent on the existing chemicals. You're not inventing anything new.
Well,
that's why they'll try to
find new chemicals.
That's why they try.
Every month,
they make more on Marinol than anything else because they figured out a synthetic THC.
I just read a story 2 weeks ago or whatever it was that they were just found out a new cannabinoid. We find out new cannabinoids every month.
Oh, it's just they further isolated more cannabinoids. They know that there's like 70 or 80, so they're just isolating cannabinoids, figuring out exactly what they do or what they can affect.
So how do you duplicate that if you don't even know the entire puzzle?
No, you don't. They get the ones that we've already discovered, and they can just figure out how to replicate them. But like I said, who likes fake stone or fake wood or fake anything that nature already does or Marinol? Like why have we for something that they claim to be?
Have you ever tried Marinol?
Yeah, I have.
But a listener has offered me to try it, but I don't know if I will. I mean, it seems pointless. It seems like I would like the experience to tell people about it.
To be honest, it was about 4 years ago. I was in the very depth of the furthest under they had me when they had me on the most pharmaceuticals. At that time, I think they had me on like 12 or 13 different prescriptions. And
it's not easy to get.
No, and a friend, actually, his father had passed away and had extra pills, and the Marinol was the only thing he saved. And I was actually in such desperate need of some realistic vision in my life that wasn't through a morphine haze or a comatose conversation that I wouldn't remember, that I was like, yeah, dude, let me try this. And it was right when I started looking into medical marijuana, probably 5-6 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago maybe. As far as the actual, up until that point, I just kind of like, I'd believed into the hype that marijuana was only for dying people. And literally, I'd been using cannabis medicinally since I broke my legs, years earlier, but like pointedly medical after I hurt my back. And I mean, I got my medical records the other day, and since the very first time I went in, the next day I went back and said, hey man, I'm throwing up. This medication is making me sick. What am I supposed to do? And from there it started where they started treating the treatment. And that's one of the big problems with pharmaceutical companies. Like when you're using an unnatural solution for a natural problem, you end up treating the treatment. And
yeah, my grandma takes like 10 pills of that because she has to take because of 10 other pills.
Yeah, no, it's probably she has to take 10 pills because of 3 pills.
Yeah, probably.
So, and it's just, it was
sad,
blowing
dude.
my
That
mind.
sucks.
And then, like I said, this is what I was supposed to consider maintenance care as far as the rest of my life.
For real?
I wasn't getting any better. I wasn't able to work. I wasn't able to do anything. And every time I would mention anything to the doctor, almost immediately the response would be, well, let me look at what we gave you last time. Let's see if we can double this dosage, or let's see if we go to 2 instead of 3, or 2 instead of 1, and then it would be a 3, and then 2 in the morning and 2 at night. And it just literally, I remember I have a pill when my friend Tyler Aiello, I don't stay good enough in touch with him, but my friend T. Will told me one time, he's like, you should take a picture for me of what you have to take in a day. And I remember I took a picture, I put everything in my hand at once, because I space it out every 3 hours or whatever. But I took, like one picture of all the pills I took in one day in my hand, and it like filled my whole palm. And I called that picture for a long time my daily bread. And that actually inspired one of the other pieces of artwork that's on my Facebook page, that weird little child sculpture thing, because that's all I felt like. I felt like every time I would go there, I would sit in the waiting room, I'd look at little kids playing with toys, reading books, people reading magazines, stand in line, hold my hands out, they dump more medication in them, I leave. And it was a ruthless cycle. And I feel sorry for anybody that gets thrown or thrust into that, like, if you don't Some people Vicodin works incredibly well for. It doesn't have any ill side effects. You know, I've seen people break their legs, use Vicodin for 2 weeks to get through the worst of the pain, throw away the rest of their bottle, never have to take anything other than it for pain, and it was just, you know, worked for them. But like most chemicals that you introduce to individual bodies, your individual body chemistry and how you work as a human is different than everyone else. So in most people, when you put poison into their system, they have adverse effects. And the pharmaceutical company, you know, they would have you believe that those are simply unavoidable. So you simply need to treat those as well as whatever else you may be treating.
You really, I think you really start to understand how little we know as humans, as who we are when you look into things like healthcare specifically. You really start to understand how much we need to evolve, you know, as a society, as a people, and the things where we need to go with our things. And sometimes even getting to the point you can even argue where our priorities are all screwed up, you know? Because it seems like healthcare is like one of those things that we do look at a lot and we do put a lot into, but we really don't. And we really don't know a lot about.
No, certainly.
There's doctors out there that don't know jack, dude, that should not be practicing. And as general doctors, general practitioners, and it's crazy.
Well, as unpopular as it may be amongst our listeners, like if you're one of the people that's holding on for federal health care thinking it's going to save you, I got some land for sale. I ain't got a title yet or the deed, but
as it is,
I got a great deal.
Yeah, the Obamacare stuff.
It is unbelievable. Like, first of all, if anybody has ever went to send a package,
this is why we don't talk about other things, because you don't alienate anybody.
Obtain a driver's license, get tags for your car. What else is there? You know, like stand in line to vote. You know, if these are the systems that you want somebody to model your medical system after, you're crazy. You know, like individual business is always going to serve individual people better.
Good ideas are good ideas, but that's just it. They're ideas. Reality is a different story.
You know, the reality of that situation is we'll be left with, not to say they're crappy, but we'll be left with inexperienced young doctors who are general practice guys, because all the specialists will go to other countries where they can be rewarded for having that specialty. That's why they went to school for 12 years of their life.
Well, I think you can talk to Canadians about how their healthcare system kind of works there and how frustrating
it doesn't. I can't imagine. And here's the one thing.
It's a snail's pace.
One of the major problems I see with it is one of the problems they have is they can't measure pain. So let's say we've got a guy standing in line or in a line for a procedure. So it's a hypothetical line, you know, they're not actually standing there, but he's in line for a procedure and he has a let's say it's gallstones, and he's got and I have no idea how big they're even supposed to be. So someone's going to be like, you idiot, they're not like that. But I'll just say, you know, he has like a 5 millimeter gallstone, but he's a tough big dude. He doesn't care. You know, he's pretty tough, you know. And then there's a woman that has a 0.75 millimeter gallstone who can't live her life because it is killing her with pain or some other scenario. All they can do is take images of those. Sorry, ma'am, this is a more minor problem than this guy. You know, like this guy has a more major problem than you. I don't care what the pain register is.
That's the way you could have put it. He had a bigger gallstone and she had a smaller gallstone. So
if you start mixing other people in different pain levels, you know, the guy that comes in and had nothing wrong with him, but they find his stones on a scan, and now you need to have this off. So now you're getting queued up in line, and it's never really. Like I said, it's just beyond the expense of it. Like I'm not even talking about the impracticalities of paying for the whole thing. I'm talking about how stupid it is to think that it could be implemented in a way that would be beneficial to human beings. It's impossible. Like I said, the post office, sweet. The driver, you go wait for a driver's license, give me a break. Your tags, that's why I don't want those people to take over healthcare. They don't know how to run those things they have already got their hands into. And we're trying to give them more.
Actually, I was going to say the post office is lucky the invention of email came across, but then again, there's things like Amazon and like all kinds of other stuff that they're probably...
the post office is still doing that. That actually, they're not lucky. That was the biggest thing to screw up the post office ever.
Online.
Now their postage is skyrocketing because most people are sending emails and stuff, and
yeah.
It's just it's madness to believe that after you screw this up. Hey man, you couldn't build that Pinto. You couldn't build that Chevy Malibu. You couldn't build that Volkswagen. You couldn't build this right. But they all run. They'll roll downhill. So here, build me this Ferrari. And then strap me in and let my life depend on it. Because realistically, dude, if you can't get the small things right, how are we going to place the most important thing right square in their lap? Like, here, figure this out. We got all these sick people and no money, and doctors don't want to work for free, and taxpayers really don't want to pay for it either. So you figure out how to make that work alongside all the other problems we're creating for ourselves.
Yes. I'm gonna leave it at that because we gotta wrap this up. This is like 30 minutes right here, dude.
Wrap it up, B.
Ridiculous. If you'd like to win the Kyle's Grow Shop 60 site easy cloner.
This is giveaway?
Yeah, we're still in this at the beginning, man. You've been going on for like ever.
Shut up.
Yeah, you have, dude.
I thought we changed over to news or something.
No, dude. We've been doing the same thing the whole time. You were in it today. In it. KylesGrowShop.com.
Wasting my breath.
Send me an email.
More than ever.
How we're going to do... Nah, man. I'm going to keep that in there. I'm keeping this in here. That's epicness. Anyway, where I was going with everything. We're going to do giveaways by email from now on. I'm going to create an email account, and I'll let you know that next week. So be creating your art pieces, and stay tuned to John Doe Radio, how you can win that. Good times. We move on with it.
Smoking 2 joints in the morning. The John Doe Radio Show.
JDR News.
In JDR News this week, a story about DEA looking for Ebonics speakers. Some Massachusetts towns giving up on marijuana enforcement, and marijuana plugging the Colorado budget hole. And I can't even tell you what my mind wants to do when it just is trying to like skim over this. When I looked over that, I see budget hole, and I just think bad things. I don't know why. Bad things, not necessarily. All right, that was ridiculous. It may be raising some eyebrows, but the Drug Enforcement Administration insists it needs to hire at least 9 people fluent in Ebonics. The DEA's Atlanta office has been looking for Ebonics linguists since at least May, when the job vacancies were posted online. According to one posting, the linguist's duties would include monitoring varying numbers of communication intercepts during any given shift, and then providing reliable and accurate transcriptions. So basically, what would happen if DEA agents were monitoring something? They'd like send a message, an email, a text to the Ebonics linguist saying, "Hey, I need to know what this is," and they'd be like, "What's up, homie? What you got? What you got for me?" Would you like? Is that like it's like speaking another language now? You walk up to your partner. And instead of like your partner being like fluent in Spanish or any other
good kids that got out of the hood.
Yeah, good kids. That's what I thought. I told Luann this morning. I'm like, if I had not got a felony, not started smoking a bunch of weed, I could have been a DEA agent. Then I wanted to jump off a building.
You're not fluent in Ebonics that they're looking for.
I am not fluent in Ebonics. There is a lot of people that think they're fluent in Ebonics that aren't though. Nobody in Colorado may be fluent in Ebonics. Probably, I would almost guarantee it. Maybe.
I don't have a comment.
What? You don't have a comment? Colorado don't have no ghettos, man. There's really no heavy ghettos.
Let me tell you one thing that is a hard lesson for everyone. Everywhere there's rough neighborhoods everywhere.
You're right. What these guys are looking for is maybe some Brooklyn Ebonics, some Ebonics that started in LA, maybe some Oakland, something like that, right? Yeah, that's what they're looking for. An agency official said there is nothing racial about the job and described white rapper Eminem as one of the best speakers of Ebonics there ever was. There are words that people use that I never used, the official said. It's a dialect that certain people use, and we see a need for it. My question is, why are they just now seeing the need for Ebonics? Wouldn't you think like the mid-90s that would have been a thing they got into?
Like everything else,
the government's slow on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Like everything else. Let's give them something else.
The DEA also sees a need for linguists who speak scores of other languages and dialects, including Jamaican. I don't even know how to say this word. Jamaican patois. Is that how you say it? Jamaican patois? Patoy? I have no clue. So if you're clean cut, got a clean record, and by the way, one of the only requirements of the job is that you're fluent in Ebonics, and 2, can pass a heavy background check. So, I wonder if they obviously are going to sit you down and do a lie detector test on you, polygraph test, and
I'm sure.
Dude, that'd be crazy. All right, move on to the next story.
Everything else was crazy.
That was one of the most interesting stories of the week. I definitely thought that was crazy. And ABC News picked it up. Tons of news picked it up. All right, which DEA probably hoped that they were going to. Governor Bill Ritter's latest plan to help balance the budget relies heavily on money generated from the energy industry and some that's coming from marijuana smokers. Now let me just go ahead and go through all this BS. The people outside of Colorado don't want to necessarily care about our budget woes here. We need to shave off, what does it say here?
Whatever, this is a national story. Take out Colorado and insert your state.
Yeah, you're right.
And you're having budget woes.
That's why I'm covering it.
Look at how they're screwing us in Colorado.
Shortfall budget of $60 million. So that's nothing compared to California. Take $9 million from the medical marijuana program cash fund, a windfall that comes as a result of the number of applicants for medical marijuana permits is expected to double next year to 150,000.
So here's my problem. I thought that it was pretty clearly outlined that the money for the patient's registration was supposed to be the money that it costs to operate the system, and that's why, in fact, the cost of the first year I looked into getting a card, it was $115.
Yeah.
They moved that price down to $90 because they said it was not costing them that much to operate the program. So how come it works great then, but when there's a rash of patients, they're unable to then utilize that same money, because then all we heard about was it going into the general fund. Well, as I read that last night and realized they're banking on patients and they expect there to be more of a windfall next year, that money is supposed to be to operate the medical marijuana program in Colorado. It wasn't designed to be a windfall, I don't believe.
No, it was not designed to be a windfall. And in fact, if I read this correct, and last night I posted something online, I was having a serious brain fart last night and seriously could not find the spot where, because I knew they included inside Amendment 20 specifically that you cannot take this money and put it in the general fund.
I thought it was something, there was something that said if it's costing more money than it is, or if you're making more money than it costs to operate, then you'll reevaluate, then that's the impression I was under.
They could reevaluate it. There's room for that. But in Section 14, Article 18 of the state constitution, regarding medical marijuana, it promulgates all the rules. If you look into it, the medical marijuana program cash fund shall be subject to annual appropriation by the General Assembly to the department for the purpose of establishing, operating, and maintaining the medical marijuana program of the state constitution. All monies credited to the medical marijuana program cash fund and all interest derived from the deposit of such monies that are not expended during the fiscal year shall be retained in the fund for future use and shall not be credited or transferred to the general fund or any other fund.
They wanted it to be effective to run itself, and now they're wondering why I've got a 2-year card because they couldn't give me my paperwork inside of a year.
But they wiped that out. 1284 did away with that. That becomes void after July 12th of next year.
So how come they were able to embezzle $9,000 on Sunday?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like $9 million is what, not 9,000. Yeah, $9 million.
$9 million.
I don't know. I asked Sean McAllister online. I don't think I've got an answer. I haven't really checked, though. Rob Corey, put a call into him. What's going on here? Why is our money going to places that we voted and said it wasn't going to go? And if I'm completely wrong on this, and you're a lawyer, Warren, if you're listening, I know you're on vacation, buddy, so there's no way probably you're going to be...
He was just online. I seen his...
Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe I think he's in Europe or something, going to Europe. But Warren, if anybody's listening and you know what's up with this, you really, really know, get with me, because this blows me away. I don't understand how they can do this. All right, moving on to the next story here. Derek's probably going to have a lot more to talk about. I'm trying
to tone it down right now.
I'm going to try and poke him a little bit more. But while he's still got stuff going on, I know that he's a little bit weary of him poking the bear too. So, I don't know. Time will tell. Final story of the news this week is something that was sent to me by a listener. Thank you very much to our listeners, you guys that get active and involved and send me emails and say, hey, did you see this story or did you hear about this? I love that. Hopefully you can't hear the police driving down my front street there. All right. I love that you guys are getting involved. Sometimes you can hear things outside in the studio and sometimes you can't. Like, it'll be louder than crap and I'll think I'm going to go back and produce the show and listen to it and it's going to be loud, but you can't hear jack. I don't know. All right. The people that send us stuff for the show, I've been looking for that for a long time, and that you guys are starting to do that. I really appreciate that. It lets me know what's going on in your local community a little bit more, and then I can bring it to others. Because there's some really new things that people are trying throughout the United States, including this. Some Massachusetts town have given up enforcing a law that decriminalized the possession of small amounts of marijuana, saying that the law is written with too many loopholes to be effective. Cottonmouth, lovely. The law established a civil fine of $100 for those caught with an ounce or less of marijuana. That replaced what had been a criminal offense of carrying a maximum penalty of 6 months in jail and a $500 fine, also for possession of an ounce or less of the drug. But the law overwhelmingly passed in a ballot measure in November 2008 does not require offenders to correctly identify themselves, nor does it provide a way to force them to pay the fines, which is quite interesting. I knew that there was crazy relaxed laws, and I shouldn't say crazy relaxed, I mean good relaxed laws in Massachusetts, but I didn't know that you don't have to give an ID. What?
Yeah, that's insane.
If a police asks you for an ID in Colorado, and you say no,
I don't want to,
you're going to end up with a broken neck on the ground, probably.
There's not much...
There's a lot of proof recently to support that statement. All right, back to Massachusetts here. Derek gets a nervous look on his face. He about took out a cop a few weeks ago. Say that lightheartedly. That has led to a patchwork of enforcement across the state of Massachusetts, with some communities handing out hundreds of civil violations and others turning a blind eye to personal use of marijuana. So that's the thing. It's a civil violation in Massachusetts, and that's why they can do it like that. A number of communities have tried, but a number have just given up, said Wayne Sampson, executive director of Massachusetts Chiefs of Police Association. Police officials say that with most civil citations, such as speeding tickets, there are repercussions for those who don't pay fines. In some cases, police can even levy criminal charges against people who fail to pay. But they cannot do so in the case of possession of less than an ounce of pot in Massachusetts. The only recourse for city and town clerks is to take offenders to small claims court, which clerks say isn't worth the time and the money to recoup the $100. The ticketing of the individuals isn't effective without a backup or other consequences for non-payment of fines, says Police Chief Ronald Teachman. Mr. Police Officer Man. Other officers say they're handcuffed because the law doesn't require people caught with small amounts of marijuana to provide identification. You know what? Something tells me, though, I highly doubt the law officers are not getting the identification from them when they contact, you know?
Right.
They're going to run you for a warrant. You know, when you get pulled over or whatever, that's what they do. They take your license back, check check your insurance, but they take time mostly because they're running you for a warrant. It just absolutely drives me insane, some of the things that the police can do. And here in Colorado, you've seen all the footage and everything recently, right? Of
I started to watch one of them, and then I'm not a fan of watching police brutality. It only adds to my own PTSD and hypersensitivity to the fact that
there's some bad apples.
Not all police are good, and it's always a gut shot if you're going to get. I mean, whether you don't even know how to describe it, because you have no other interaction with another human being can be so easily and so greatly swayed in one direction or the other, dependent upon the attitude of one person. You know, like, even in normal life, if you walk up to somebody like that and they're an ass, you just walk away from them and you don't deal with them. But when you run into when you have an interaction with an officer who is an ass and decides to take it upon himself to take advantage of his status in the community as a police officer, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I said, you can have the best. Like I said, don't get me wrong, because I know good cops, I know great cops, and I've had interactions with police that were absolutely delightful. I've encountered one with the Fort Collins police officer I talked about like a year ago when I got pulled over.
Yeah.
He could have.
It was less than a year ago, but
he could have, really screwed me. And that's a great interaction with a law officer. But when you have these guys that are just making everybody look terrible, like it's the equivalent of finding a group of firefighters that are burning down nursing homes.
That seems so outrageous to say, but it
seems outrageous. But when you have people that are tasked with protecting the weakest among us, beating them to death,
it's parallel. It's parallel to being, dude. And check this out. You're not wrong by the things you say with concerns and the craziness of the whole thing. When you start looking at the statistics, I think I said tit in there too. Statistics. If you look at it, I read a story yesterday, and I'm not exactly 100% sure what town this was, or what this was. A big city, and and the reason why it doesn't really matter what town it was, because it's the same in Denver, it's the same in most other cities. There have been over 200 serious complaints in the past 20 years in this decent sized city. How many of those do you think were serious? How many out of 200 complaints? How many of those seriously got punished? Now, I understand that people are going to file false complaints, but how many of those do you think they were seriously punished on the police?
5, maybe.
1.
Wow. 1
serious complaint in this news article that they got over, and this is over a 30-year period. And those numbers seem really low.
So they're saying that of all the complaints they've received in 30 years, less than 0.5% are valid.
Of serious complaints like police brutality and other things that would be like a criminal issue.
Cops don't lie, dude. I mean, when cops get that badge pinned onto their chest, it's like they pinned it into their heart because they're so honorable. Cops, they don't lie. When the stork dropped them off at their mom's house, they're the ones that didn't have a hard landing or anything, and were just set down beautifully and don't understand any of the hardships in life, and they don't know what it's like to tell a lie. I mean, they're the most honorable and honest people I've ever. Just take the opportunity to read police reports.
That's the public, man. The public just gives them that power too. I think we got to try and take that back somehow.
Oh no, don't take that back. Those police officers are the most powerful people on the planet. I mean, they can tell me when to do anything.
No, I hear you, dude. You're you just try it. There's not even there's not even a reason to even talk about it.
I love, like I said,
other than try and get it to change. You just can't get frustrated with it because it's so outrageously infuriating.
And even the good cops, they're afraid to speak out because the bad cops are overwhelming, and you don't know who your real brothers are. Because I know several former police officers and one current police officer who says if it weren't for the fact that he was currently being drug tested, he would be using marijuana recreationally. I know several retired officers who have went on to become medical marijuana patients, and in private conversations with me, they will happily admit that they've never had problems with marijuana users becoming a problem to society or violent or causing issue. And if they're honest, they'll also readily admit that almost all of them would dread the problems that would come up from a beer garden or a marijuana, or not a marijuana, but any sort of like festival surrounded alcohol, you know, they all, if they're honest, would rather deal with the cannabis users because of the simple fact that how many drunken disorderlies, there's no such thing as a stoned and disorderly. You know, you don't get high or medicated or stoned or whatever you want to call it and become aggressive to authoritative figures.
There was the riot in Fort Collins last week and stuff, and then like you don't walk up to those people and go, "Are you people high?"
Right?
Like,
no, they're screaming. You're not screaming directions at them, and they're not stumbling over themselves throwing up because they're using marijuana. That's for sure.
I was trying to find real quick the numbers here in Denver because I had seen the numbers earlier this year about how many complaints were filed in Denver, and Denver is one of the worst cities with it, and we're seeing that lately. We haven't even seen the Denver jail death of that guy that they ruled a homicide. Man went to jail. We talked about it on the show. He went to jail for paraphernalia for the crack pipe, and he died. Well, the coroner ruled it a homicide. Now, here's the thing. When you get into law and when you get into prosecution, we're going to wrap this up here in just a second. When you get into law and when you get into all that, homicide, I don't know if it can necessarily, if somebody dies, if like that, and they say it's homicide, if they'll prosecute it as murder. Like there's manslaughter. There's just because it was filed as homicide doesn't mean somebody's going to get charged with murder.
No,
that's what's crazy. And
well, I don't even know where.
2.5 minutes he held the sleeper hold on that guy that died in the jail. 2.5 minutes he held a sleeper hold on him. Now I can understand having your arm around the neck or whatever of someone, but you said
as long as you're gaining control of them. As soon as you like I said, you shouldn't. I guess I don't even know what the hell to say because you just should never have been put in that own situation by yourself where you could be choking a guy out for 2.5 minutes.
That's well beyond. And I have posted it up online yesterday, and somebody answered me back, and I went and researched it. And it's if you cut off someone's jugular, if you cut off their oxygen to their head enough, and
it's not the pass out game. You know, the pass out game, you restore oxygen right away. You know, if anybody played that game as a kid,
30 seconds, dude.
Imagine after your buddy. Imagine if you've played pass out and you're choking your buddy with a towel when you're in 5th grade, and he goes limp.
I never played that, dude. By the way,
really? Like
I've
a lot of people.
I've seen it. Dude.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm stupid, dude. I'm pure pressure. We just choke the shit out of each other. But anyways, imagine any situation. Imagine choking somebody, and then after the point where they've closed their eyes and are unconscious, you continue to choke them for like double the amount of time.
That sounds evil.
Yeah, dude. Literally, evil. In every situation you can imagine, you picture somebody like choking them and staring at them with hatred.
Yeah.
No, dude. This is a law officer who's supposedly be trained on how to deal with aggressive people in the first place. If you can't restrain now I'm not trying to be an ass, but a battered old homeless man
for real
with 3 officers in less time than 2.5 minutes. If you have to choke someone out for 2.5 minutes to get restraints on them, then you need to go back and become a cop again, because I thought that's the stuff they taught you at the academy.
I mean, like, dude, if you do it right, it will kill you.
No, and for them seconds. Too. What if because it was a feeble homeless man who they're categorizing as a crack addict?
No, I know.
What if it was a roid raging 35-year-old 195 pounder that's
who knows
fit as a
what
fifth?
Would happen, dude?
Yeah, dude.
They don't even. I don't think they necessarily have a gun. They have guns in the jail, but they're not like readily available to the guards immediately.
Well, for police's own protection.
Yeah.
If you're trained to the point where you have to literally kill an old homeless man because they were not trained. Well
enough.
That's what I'm saying.
The problem. They're not trained.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
If you're at a point where you're in charge of public safety, which you are as a police officer, and you've been charged with, like I said, you're supposed to know how to control aggressive people. This is an old homeless man, so no matter how aggressive he got, it didn't matter how aggressive an old homeless guy got. He's never should be in a position where he could overtake several officers to a point where the only excuse for that, like I said, if it was a cracked out 30-year-old 200-pounder, then maybe, dude, because sometimes they won't go down and you're freaking out and fighting and struggling. I could see that going down. I don't see this old man in his sack of.
We'll see the video. There'll be video.
Eventually, it will. Like, that's one thing I commend.
Unless it amazingly disappears. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Didn't that guy just retire now?
What?
One of
the safety manager that
said there was really nothing to be punished.
Well, he didn't say about that. He was talking about the other. There's three high-profile incidents right now going on in Denver, and all three of them were caught on video. We installed a new Halo system, a security camera system in Denver because of the Democratic National Convention, and it's filmed a ton of stuff. The stuff that's just come out took a long time. It took about a year. 6 months to a year to get the police to release. They finally released it, and once they released this, there was a few other things that come out. Once the levee breaks, obviously it's going to come pouring out. So right now specifically, and there's more that I'm hearing that's going to be coming out here in the near future. 2 high-profile cases of cops beating up the guy, and then one other one of in the jail, what we're talking about right now, where the guy died. That video has yet to come out. The safety manager was not fired. He was going to be fired, I think, by Hickenlooper. The police safety manager had just suspended the police that had gotten in the fights and had showed brutal beatings, and it's just ridiculous. An independent monitor in Denver was hired to keep track of this type of stuff, to be a little bit more up on top of the complaints that happen in Denver, because as I told you, Denver's one of the worst places for it. And the safety manager for the police department goes against what this public independent monitor has recommended. So that's why there's a big hoopla. I mean, anyway, long story short, it's JDR News.
John Doe Radio.
Another tune I just got from a man, Donnie Cross. Song's called Be Quiet. I got another tune next week I'll play for you here on the John Doe Radio Show. Enjoy this one. You heard it here on the JDR.
I'm a pistol cause I caught the sucker slipping. Politely took the money and the chain, now I'm tipping. Hit the wrong blunt with the fools, now I'm tripping. Pull the right freak, now the homies got a flipping. Pulled out my pistol cause I caught the sucker slipping. Politely took the money and the chain, now I'm tipping. Hit the wrong blunt with the fools, now I'm tripping. Pull the right freak, now the homies got a flipping. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers, and real fellas. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers, and real fellas. Hated by suckers, still loved by the freaks. Change of my hustle, still known in the streets. Knock you off your feet, check your pockets while you sleep. Come and see about your bitch niggas cause you weak. Heat on deck, stacks in my pocket. Catch you at the club, now you trying to change topics. Kick a nigga ass till security say stop it. Take it to the parking lot, let loose rockets. Pop it, drop it, gone like snap. Alibi on the other side of the map. The opposite of toilet cause I don't take crap. Get me mad like a freestyle, it's a rap. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers, and real fellas. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers, and real fellas. I hear a slight beep and the phone keep clicking. Tell the little mama about the benefits of stripping. It's life management, don't call it pimping. Extra ring, extra can't survive all tipping. See, I don't give a damn about none of y'all suckers. Get caught, then they jam you up like smuckers. Mad cause they lame and they bitch wanna fuck us. I don't trust them new niggas like ruckers. Brand new fakes acting like we're best friends. Asking dope prices, watching how much you spend. Trying to see who, what, where, why, and when. Free smoke D, get my nigga out the pen.
Live from the pen once again, like before, man. Folks, I've been a railroad me down here, man. Got locked up, got a 20-year sentence, man, for some drugs that wasn't mine. I shouldn't maybe be talking about this right now, man, but I just need y'all support. So, I don't know, send letters. I give you the address soon. I'm in transit, get moved from one spot to another. They got me real fucked up right now. job prayer. Got about 30 seconds on this phone, so I guess that's what I want to say most of all, man. Y'all pray for me, I'm gonna pray for y'all. Stay up, God bless. Campaign for you, boy. I need to be free. But don't look you. I'm trying to get out of this, so anybody with the sound of my voice that can send some help, please send it.
Pulled out my pistol cause I caught the sucker slipping. Politely took the money and the chain, now I'm dipping. Hit the wrong blunt with them fools, now I'm tripping. Pull the right freak, now the homies got a flipping. Pulled out my pistol cause I caught the sucker slipping. Politely took the money and the chain, now I'm dipping. Hit the wrong blunt with them fools, now I'm tripping. Pull the right freak, now the homies got a flipping. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers and real fellas. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Shh, be quiet cause them suckers tattletailing. Surrounded by killers, dope dealers and real fellas.
What's good? This is Be Real, the Buddha Master from Cypress Hill, and you're listening to John Doe Radio. Blaze it up.
On the show with us this week, we are proud to have Sendog of the rap metal group SX10, and as everybody knows, Cypress Hill. Sendog, thank you very much for joining us this week.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me. You know, I'm digging here being with you guys. You know what I mean?
Awesome, dude. We dug meeting you. Derek's on the line too. We got to hang out with you, not last weekend, but the weekend before last here at the Mile High Music Festival in Denver. I think we smoked over an ounce with you guys there at Cypress Hill and Slightly Stupid, and I mean it was some of the best greens I think we could find too.
Yeah, we just certainly is a medicated event.
It gets put in the air. You know, it definitely gets put in the air. When Slightly and Cypress get together, you know what I mean?
Right.
Is that something on the tour that, I mean, this is like, I asked Be Real this before when I first met him, and it seems like kind of a stupid question to ask, but it's still one of those jaw-dropping kind of questions that a lot of people want to hear. So what is it like being on the road as one of these acts, you know, Cypress Hill, Slightly Stupid? Everywhere you turn, is it people handing you bags?
Well, everyone wants to come say hello and show you some kindness and you know, and a little bit of show you a little bit of the flavor of their hometown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, in the process of it, you meet some really good people with some really great product and stuff. And you know, and you make friends with them and you keep them for life, really. And every time you go into that town, you call your bros up that you've met there and you've known them for 10, 12, 15 years. And you're like, hey man, I'm gonna be in town on this day and that day, whatever. You guys shoot through, and you know, they come through. You know, with being very gracious hosts and stuff like that. So there's never a problem of, you know, ever like needing anything, because, you know, just from the strength of our fans and friends, you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's one of the wonderful things about being in Cypress Hill, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, just as being, how long has Cypress Hill started touring in, what, the late 90s or what?
Oh, we started touring in 1991.
Early 90s. So after that long of touring, I would imagine that you come across some pretty cool cats and probably some pretty whack people as you make your journeys, you know, just the zigzags that you guys have to make across the country, you know, to do what you do has got to be, you know, strenuous, but it's also, you know, I don't want you to think for a second it's not thankful or unthanked work, because certainly we appreciate because it's got, I mean, that's grinding, you know, that's 20 years of just grinding it out for the fans, you know, doing shows and, you know, doing one show one night and then the next show the next night in another place. So we certainly appreciate it.
Well, that's right on, man. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. That's part of the, you know, the business that people don't get to see, the, you know, the 15, 16-hour bus rides, the, you know, airport layovers, 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours deep, sleeping in the airport. I mean, those are things that people don't get to see. They get to see you, you know, up on stage, or, you know, on the Simpsons episode, or your brand new video on MTV, you know, and it all looks, you know, very fancy and luxurious, but you know, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. And, you know, of course, through the course of the year, you know, the touring year, your body gets burned out, and, you know what I mean, your voice takes a toll and everything like that. But you know, it's what we chose to do for, you know, profession. We never thought that we'd take it, you know, 10 years, and here we are 20. So it's very special to us. And, you know, and I guess whatever the physical demands of the job are, you know, we've always met them. and nothing has ever hindered us from going on stage and giving a great performance, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Has that been something that you've really enjoyed? It has been the touring part of it, or has it been sort of like, you could give or take it? Because it seems like you guys really love being on the road.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We take great pride in our stage performance and our live show. It's something that we've always want people to, talk about for years after they came and saw us. And being able to be on stage in front of, thousands of people has always been a blessing, but for the simple fact of,
you have a family
of the family and not just the family, but just, to me, being on stage and having people applaud for a song or performance, to me, is something that humbles me.
Yeah.
And it keeps me real. And it lets me know how lucky I actually am to, not only have been able to, make my rap group a success, but, kept it going for 20 years. You know what I mean? And every time I get on stage, I perform like it's my last show ever, and I leave everything on the stage. And, people have grown to love that about us,
Yeah. I mean, you guys, there's a big difference between artists and acts that really get into it and artists and acts that really just kind of get up there and perform and do their thing. And
that's what I was going to say. It's one of the things that makes, you can tell, one-hit wonders, it's not necessarily that that's all they had was one hit. A lot of times it might be that they didn't have it in them. They couldn't grind it out. They didn't know what it was like. They thought it was a luxurious thing to be an artist or whatever you want to be considered.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that in order to make that happen, there's a lot of, less glamorous things and a lot of work that goes into, it's unbelievable. Like, think about the sacrifice for, and especially because we loved it, especially when we talk to somebody like this, you're so humble, the time that you've taken away from your family to give to your fans, more than makes up for anything you ever owe anybody. It's awesome that people are, understanding, and they see things, but they don't see they don't see, like I said, the sacrifice that you guys actually put into and the toll that's got to take and how hard it's got to stay in shape when you guys are grinding it out like that. And there is a love, and a love for the music itself that, makes people want to continue doing that. And some people, they just don't have it. And obviously you guys have it, you're able to work side projects and start other musical groups where, it's just evident that the music is in your blood, and it's something that, just like a great painter wants to share that, it's obvious that you just, you want to get that music out for people to hear. And it certainly is an appreciated thing.
Yeah, well, the business will chew your ass up and spit your ass out quicker than how you came in, you know what I mean? And you got to keep it at all times. You have to keep it, based that it's a business, you know what I mean? That there's many fun nights and parties that go with it, but you always have to remember it's a business, and you always have to keep thinking into the future.
Right.
And, and it's a hard job to do, but it's a doable job if you do it right. And, and the fact that, some people out there actually recognize that when they get to see Cypress on tour or whatever, and they see Cypress on tour, and it's cool. But there's other people like you guys that understand that, while we're up here off stage and doing these road tours, that we're sacrificing time with our family, our children, our friends, our everything else that's personal to us in our lives.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't stop us from, hustling, grinding, coming up with new projects, coming up with new styles of music and all that, because that's what we do. And that's why, I keep doing SX10 and my own solo rap stuff, because, it's something that you always have to prove yourself to be, ready to do and that you're good at,
Yeah, and also on that same line too, this past year, and I'm not trying to call out B or anything, but this is the difficulty that you guys run into. You guys had told us a story, and it's on YouTube too a little bit, and it just goes to show of the rough times that can be had sometimes, man. It was like 110 degrees the show before you came into Denver, and B Real was jumping up and down. You guys were going at it full force, and he kind of like got a little woozy, and you had to kind of like save him there a little bit, it seemed like. Tell us about that day.
Yeah, man.
We talked about it.
It was in KC, and it was earlier that day at about 2:30 in the afternoon. It was like 114 degrees. And when we went on stage that night, it was still 101 at 8:45 that night. So it just felt like the whole venue was surrounded by a big old fire, and the air was dry, and it's like almost like you could see the air that you're breathing. That's how odd it was. Right before the set, right before we went on, he tells me, "Hey man, pace yourself. It's really hot out there." And I happen to have experience with passing out because it's happened to me a few times. And then one of my bros has epilepsy, and a couple of the times that it kicked in, I was right there in front of him, and I recognized the leg movement because the first thing that goes when you pass out is the control over your body, your lower limbs, and it's like this little Frankenstein kind of stumble thing that you do before you go down because you realize that your legs are failing you.
Yeah.
And I saw that right away, and I recognized it, and I was like, "Oh, for real?" So I just ran over there and, put my arms out, and he just saw on top of me. And, people have been asking me, like, "How did you know that was going to happen?" I go, "Because it's happened to me before, a couple of people that I know." So,
you didn't.
That's what happened there, and I think that just the whole thing that it was incredibly hot, and we wear all black when we perform and everything. So it was just one of those things, where the job actually took its toll, and kick some butt, and kick one of our butts, you know what I mean? But
let me go ahead and commend you though, because I mean we talked about it the next day or a couple days later on the bus at the Mile High Music Fest, and B had mentioned that he had only seen like one video of it on YouTube, and it was kind of a far off angle. Well, that was the only video for a while, but now there's we searched the other day, and there's the top video. Somebody was in the very front row, and they had their camera running the whole time for the whole song. And let me commend you both on the miraculous job that you do, and the showmanship is impeccable, because
he did me.
I mean, to be honest, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I would be proud of how well composed that you guys are in your stage show after this long. That literally, if you watch it, B at the very end of his verse, he's kind of starts to jump around, falls into Sen. Sen is able to get him off stage left or whatever, get him behind with the help of a couple dudes. They get him back, and Sen is out in 2 seconds to finish, right in step with his rhyme, picks up, boom, he's going, and literally, like, I seen you look back like twice, like, wow, I hope everything's straight. And then right when it happens, or right when it needs to happen, Be Real steps right back out in perfect timing and picks up his verse. So you would never even know, like from the audio, you would never know that something went wrong. But when you see it, literally, like, I actually have very low blood pressure, and I've had to deal with it since like middle school. So if I stand up too quick or run upstairs or anything like that, I'll do the same thing. I'll pass out. And I recognized that as soon as he started to go, I was like, oh, here it is right here. And he literally, you just like, caught him, helped him off. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect in step. So congratulations on being able to hold it together through, what would seem like the worst of conditions. Both of you just, ultimately the goal there is to put the show on for the fans, and you didn't miss a beat.
Oh, no, man. I was real close to, stopping the show. That's one of our things on stage that we have, is that we never stop the show, never ever stop the show. And, I said to myself, if he doesn't come out here first, to do his third verse, the hand on the pump, then I'm just going to stop the show, because I'm not going to continue without him. But, I told him, I go, if there's any one time that you should have said that I can't go on, would have been that one, because, putting yourself back out there in that heat, could have, possibly had you, go down again. But that just goes to show, what a trooper he is, and how serious he is about his job, that, and the guy passed out on stage and really had to be carried off the stage, and comes back a little bit later, not even a minute and a half, came back a minute and a half later, and continued the whole rest of the concert. So, that just lets you know how
hard they work for
we
us.
are dedicated to what we do,
Yeah. When it comes down, I want to get into real quick here while we still got the time with you. I want to get into a little bit of your history with music. Can you tell us with how you got started with doing what you were doing and how it kind of moved into the rap metal thing? Because you and some of your friends are involved with not only the rap metal stuff, but you like punk music. You're an eclectic guy. Tell us how that came to be.
Well, when I'm 44 years old. I'll be 45 this year in November, and I came to America at a very young age, at 8 years old, and that was well before hip hop was anywhere near the West Coast or on the radio or anything. And my first running with American music was Jimi Hendrix, and that led me to the Beatles and Elvis, and that led me to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and Cream and CCR and Foghat and all kind of Three Dog Night, all kind of shit. Nice. And then from there I got into hardcore funk, Parliament Funkadelic and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then eventually that led me into punk funk, like Rick James and Cameo. So when punk rock and hip hop almost came in together almost at the same time. And I heard hip hop before, you know what I mean, but I never thought about wanting to do it until I heard Run DMC. When I heard Run DMC and they first came out with a song that featured live guitars in it and drums. The video was all black and white, but they're jamming and they got this riff in their song. When I saw and heard that, okay, that made me want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now I want to be a rapper. And then I've always been drawn to hip hop music that has heavy metal and rock and roll edges to it, like the first Beastie Boy album, License to Ill, you know what I mean, with all the great samples that are in there, and one of the guys from Slayer plays on their record. Public Enemy albums always had some chunky little riffs in there from all kinds of music, you know what I mean, and this is the stuff that I'm attracted to, so around 95, Cypress Hill was in a lot of turmoil within the band. In 96, late 95, 96, I actually stepped off, and that's when I started my own heavy metal band, SX10. And I think that me doing SX10 and eventually B-Real and Mug seeing me do SX10, gave them they mustered them up to be like, yeah, let's do some rock stuff. Yeah. And henceforth Rock Superstar was born. But I mean, I've always been involved in from all my musical likings are all all to an extreme, you know what I mean? I just don't like R&B. I like, hardcore funk, you know what I mean? I just don't like rock and roll. I like, heavy metal, thrash, speed metal, you know what I mean? That's just the way I am, and and I've been able to infuse some of that into what I do with Cypress Hill on stage, and for I think for the most part fans have enjoyed it, but I don't think Cypress Hill would still be here if we didn't take that chance and, took that walk on the wild side and brought out guitars and, recorded with Tom Morello and, have had, we've performed live with Slash and Navarro, Jason Bonham and Chad Smith, and just all these great rock and rollers. And then when you meet them and they start telling you what a great big fan of Cypress Hill and they are, and through Cypress Hill, how they turned themselves, into hip hop fans.
Nice.
And that's the whole correlation is there, for what that's the actual purpose that Cypress Hill serves. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
no, I hear that.
And I think that if we weren't the kind of guys that every now and then, walked on the edge and didn't really care if we fell off or not. I mean, of course we want to, walk on that edge and be successful with it. But it's been a time when, we walked that edge and it didn't work out and we fell off and, we had to figure out how we're going to come back, but the music business is all about a series of comebacks. And even if you were successful on your last album, you're coming back with a new one, and there's no proof that this new one is going to be as successful as the last one. So it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing of constantly having to improve yourself, be sharper than the last time. Always stay hardcore. Be true to yourself, and in turn, the fans will dig that. So that's my whole little thing on who I am and what I do. I was hard trying to find myself at first, because back in those days, it was either you were a hip hop or you were a metalhead, and here I was caught in the middle,
Right.
And
And they were like polarizing at one point.
It was hard for me to just finally like just break out of that show and be like, I don't care what people think. I'm going to be me, you know?
Nice. Yeah. I like that, and that's what I really dig about Cypress Hill. One of the things that's made me a huge fan over the years has been the range of music that you guys get on with. I mean, I love it. And in fact, one of the most changing times in my life when it came to music was when I started listening to R&B and hip hop growing up, and then I was introduced to Rage Against the Machine and started to learn a little bit more about rock and what that is. So mine was kind of backwards. You had seen the rock and metal and all that stuff first, and then kind of gone over to the rap. But for me, it was like I guess it was the same kind of thing. Those influences really changed it. But then when I really met Cypress Hill's albums and saw that mesh, that meld, like what Rage Against the Machine could do, I was hooked forever. So I really appreciate what you guys have done in that.
For sure. Sen, you said
thank you.
Just to clear things up for our listeners, Sen, you said you came here when you were 8 years old. You came from Cuba, right?
Yeah.
And
from Havana, Cuba.
So let me ask you a question and try and clear up some controversy I've seen out there. When did you and B actually get together? Because I've read some interviews or some accounts of some pretty early influences on one another as far as the peer pressure. So why don't you clear that up for us?
I've been friends with B Real since 1983. He was about 12, 13 years old. I was about 17. The thing about B Real was, though, he was 12, 13 years old, and he was already 5'11". So it didn't look like I was hanging around with this little 12-year-old dude. He was a great big dude already. So, but I've known him since he was like about 12, 13. I think about 13 years old is when I met him, and immediately became good friends. And that's never stopped.
I was just asking if it was if you're the one that passed that first magical hit to B.
Yeah, that was me. That was the first time that he got stoned. He was like 13 years old, and I got him pretty lit up on some chocolate Thai weed.
So that was the genesis right there of the Cypress Hill and their cannabis beginnings. I just like to tell you, like I said, I've certainly been a fan since I was in high school in the mid 90s, and I've seen you guys about 7, 8, maybe even 10 times over the years. And this is the first time at the Mile High Music Festival we actually had the opportunity to sit down and talk. So while we have you on the phone, I'd be ashamed if I didn't ask you if you remembered, if it was even memorable enough to remember, if you had an opinion on the Tangerine while you were out here in Colorado.
Oh, yeah, the Tangerine was amazing, man. Tasted great, looked great, and they did a great job, you know what I mean? So we've been hearing about it. We just hadn't run into it. So it was good to run into it and check it out and see what it was all about. It rocked, yeah.
Nice.
That's sweet.
Well, certainly anytime you come through town, I consider you guys new friends. And anytime you come through, we'd be happy to have you as a guest.
Okay, man, great. I look forward to seeing you guys again, man. And, I hope you guys enjoy that FX10 album and stuff. And
yes.
And definitely look forward to getting back on your show next time I'm in town, man, for sure.
For sure. Thanks for joining us, Sen.
Real fast before you go, Sen, do you guys have anything planned coming up here in Denver, or are you just hanging out now with Cypress Hill?
No, we're actually like on our last week of touring out here, and then we're gonna take a few weeks off and then go over to Australia. But we have some special plans for Denver. Based on what we saw, we were there. We believe, Denver and the whole Colorado to be almost the, sister state to California as far as like the medicinal marijuana goes, and how far people are down with the practice of it over there. So we're definitely going to put more time into the area there and be more vocal there, and be at the front of these states that are definitely backing up the initiative. So we have special plans for Denver. I'm not going to give it away right now. Just wait, and you'll eventually hear about it, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is what he was talking about.
Well, we certainly got to get you back on the show, because we didn't speak 1 minute about your activism and the amazing work that you've done. And we talked about it a little bit at the music fest, but some of the work that you guys do and what you've been able to see as far as a marijuana activist that's been involved in the fight for 20 years. It's been an incredible journey and an incredible road. So we've got to get your opinion on that. So we got to have you back on the show at some point as well, because the activism is
that's
of Cypress Hill, Be Real, and Send, both of you, and everything about Cypress and the activism that they do for cannabis is, being the first ones out there is huge. I know you led the way for a lot of other musicians to feel comfortable talking about cannabis. So we certainly got to get you back just to talk about that, if nothing else.
All right, man. Well, that sounds good for the next time we do this, man. We'll talk about that. I want to thank you guys for your time, man. I appreciate it very much, and all your support too, man, and everybody in the Denver area for all the support you've given us through the years. Couldn't have done it without you guys, and much love and peace, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Send Dog of Cypress Hill and SX10. Hey, have a good time, man.
Okay, bro. Peace out.
The John Doe Radio Show.
Straight review.
This week we got a strain review for you, and in the strain review this week is Pez. And to talk to you,
we got the Pez.
To talk to you a little bit about it is Borat's friend Derek.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Borat's friend. I come from Kazakhstan. Where was he from?
Kazakhstan. Borat.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah. People actually thought it was a country. Or it is a country.
I was going to say, it is a country,
I wanted to make an idiot out of other people in that, and I totally made it out of myself. Let's get high.
The Pez is very nice.
He's trying to stall now. I
am trying to stall. I lost my page.
I totally can tell. The Pez is an
information.
Well, first of all,
can't find it.
Let's start off with this.
We carry it at the shop. It's a sativa. It's my favorite thing in the shop right now. I love it. It's just really, it's hard to describe how it's like almost a sweet. Grind up a little bit of that, or
all right,
here, hand it to me. Let me pinch a little. Let me break open some resin heads and smell some terpenes.
I almost sliced my finger off right now.
It's got like a real
leaning over
sweet
with the bong. Yeah, it's really sweet, definitely. What's that flavor? It's that got a little. Is that Durban-y poison? It's got a little Durban poison to it.
It does have a little Durban poison. Like it's certainly about a 65 to 75% sativa. It's just a great all around strain. I don't have to get worried about being tore down during the day, or really putting an end to my normal activities based on it. So,
did you roll up a blunt of it?
Yeah.
All right.
Twist away.
If you want this bong, let me know. You got your blunt. Bump a boot it. How's it go? Bump the Buddha. Light a bong.
Puff the Buddha, light a bong.
Is it? I thought it was bump the Buddha.
No, puff the Buddha, light a bong.
All right, you're the expert.
Just think of me next time, or think of Mariah the next time I inspire you to write a song. Woo! I'm gonna have to go off on since you ruined the other one with a beat.
We got to do it for real. You didn't even go. You weren't even on time at all. I couldn't even.
Yesterday my dog died. I hog-tied a hoe, tied her in a bow. Said next time you blow up, try to spit a flow. You want to criticize, dog? Try a little mo. I'm so tired of this I could blow. Fire in the hole. I'm fired up, so fire up the lighter in the dro. Better hold on a little tighter, here I go. Flows tighter, hot-headed as Ghost Rider, cold-hearted as Spider-Man throwing a spider in the snow. So you better get lower than Flow Rider inside of a low rider with no tires in a hole. Why am I like this? Why is winter cold? Why is it when I talk I'm so biased to the hoes? Listen, dog. That was a little more.
Still not doing. I mean, you still though. I'm telling
whatever.
you.
Find the instrumental.
If we could sit down and we were to sit down, me and you, and do an actual song, we could do it badass. Like the reason why I feel comfortable with even joking around with it and posting it up, and you do too, because I think I'm pretty confident about it. That if we were to throw down, we could throw down a good song. That's a lot better than a lot of people.
I throw down other people's lyrics. Good.
That's
not. It's not something proud to be a good karaoke singer.
Yeah, but if you're a good karaoke singer,
at least not in this country,
you could transfer. Unless you're Asian.
I could be a rock star, because there's literally been times like one time these guys like gave up on a Dr. Dre song.
Baby, and
I'm
a rock star.
I grabbed it and was like saved the day, and these people walk up, they're like, dude, you do that good. I'm like, I listen to rap music, you know, like if you don't listen to rap music and you're trying to do karaoke,
I listen to rap music.
That's it, dude. It's my one of my teachers.
We could do it for real. But the
hip hop.
The thing with this Pez is it's I know that it's a good strain because it's stuck with you. And I keep hearing it from you. There was a strain called Blowfish that you got a little while ago. We had it up at the Cannabis Cup. And when I smoked a blunt of this Pez the first time, I thought it was Blowfish. That Blowfish was one of it was one of the heavy sativas. Nice taste when it came out. And this is sort of the same thing, taste-wise.
Really tasty, man.
Crazy tasty coming out of this bong. And like I said, it smells like a little bit like that Durban Poison. Looks a little
Durban-y.
Looks like in the bud, to me, looks a little blueberry-ish, like the structure of the bud.
Yeah, there is a little blueberry. You'll even get some of those some of those colors sometimes out of it. You'll see a little blue tint in there. It certainly got a nice like popcorn bud structure.
Little red hairs all over the place.
Yeah, little red or pink hairs that stay prevalent. It's got a real nice bud to leaf ratio. You can tell there's not a lot of big stems, or from the leaf petiole or whatever, the leaf stem. There's not a bunch of them in there where they're cutting those off, so you can tell that the ratio is real nice on that.
That's something else that I keep. The more I start growing, the more I'm looking into leaf ratio, because that's more the connoisseur bud is that, and that's one. If I have one complaint about the tangerine, it's that.
It's real leafy.
It's because it's an outdoor type I get, and you get those huge fan leaves on it. Huge. That's the only thing.
Those are leaves I'm using to twist some tobacco or some cannabis cigars.
You deserve to smack for that one.
Idiot.
But yeah, I'd like to do that too. Roll up, get somebody these leaves.
I'm actually just trying. I can do it, dude. I can twist with the best of them.
I need to get
Trust me. I'm just trying to figure out the proper way. And as with most things in my life, it's me doing trial and error or experimenting, and then after I figure it out, everyone will figure out better ways to do it. But
there's a few people I know around town that are doing that. I know a dispensary.
The secret is in curing your tobacco leaf to the point where it allows you to roll it.
Your cannabis leaf, you mean?
God, did I say tobacco again?
Yeah. Jackass. But you're probably used to like learning about it, and the tobacco's been in the
everything
place.
I'm reading about is
tobacco.
How to cure a tobacco leaf for cigar rolling. So it's certainly, there's not a lot of information out there.
Your ashtray's right there, remember. It's sort of full, but you don't have to bend over. All right. Anyway, about this, the important thing about the Pez is
it hasn't got old. That's one thing you pointed out that is, I've been on it for 2-3 months now, and I find myself consistently having several options, and anytime it's a daytime and I'm like, man, I got work to do, I need to be around and active, I'm always going back to it. So
yeah, as I'm smoking it, I'm getting that lighter high. It's not really that deep. Take me off into far lands high. I mean, it takes me off into far clearer lands, I guess you could say.
And the muscle spasms that I'll usually, it's crazy. Like my back has been in spasm for like 8 years. And since I got hurt, and it's working against, so like the backstrap muscle, the thing that you would cut if I were Jeffrey Dahmer's prey, my tenderloin. So like that backstrap or that
dude,
muscle,
I don't want to think about your tenderloin.
Right? That's the muscle that's constantly in spasm because it's trying to push or pull against my spine.
Holy Jeebus.
That's squishing down on nerves or whatever, and then the muscle's trying to pull it straight. So it's been in some state of spasm almost constantly, like almost every day, all day, every day.
So like you just kind of explain it a little.
I can reach back and I feel it, and it's just in a slight mode of almost cautionary spasm where it's just not allowing my back to go. It's actually,
is that nerve things too? Like is that's
nerves find their way in between those bones.
Yeah, it's all about the nerves.
Squished on the nerves. Yeah. And that's why it's really good for the nerve pain after I get that nerve pain, because it helps deaden just the nerve pain. But essentially what I run into is, because they get squished, then the opposite reaction of that is to spread it. Well, that's the muscle right here that's trying to spread that open.
Yeah.
That's why I have to have that hunch in my back, because it's trying to open.
And see, and let me interrupt you here too, because I want to make this important point here. That's why when people talk about pain relief with marijuana, people like myself, people like Derek, stuff that like Advil doesn't help. That's why we speak so highly of it, because marijuana attacks the neurological pain. Now, that's not necessarily, the head pain, the migraines that I talk about, but that's the nerves. That's your nerve pain that you get, that other medications are not that great at taking away.
One of these times, I'm going to have like a documented expressionary tale of, like, I know when the sneeze is coming on, so I'll have to be set up and have maybe a camera ready. And after a sneeze, the sooner that I can find raw marijuana to strike fire to and inhale its combustible off-put or whatever the hell you want to make it sound as unhealthy as possible, I can describe from you, starting in 2 seconds, the effects and where they are benefiting, and I can describe that throughout probably a 15-minute ordeal. And the difference of trying to, if let's say I don't have cannabis and I have that sneeze, it can send me into the most violent cycle of taking pain medicine, be nauseous, hunched over a bucket or a toilet, throwing up. The act alone of throwing up is such a hellish, convulsing action for my body to take that it creates more pain and more painkillers, and they create more nausea, creating more pain.
Well, the painkiller, would you take it as this? This is kind of how I was going to say. The marijuana, to me, is kind of like a surgeon when it comes to neuron pain. Painkillers, I kind of think of them as like a punch. Like, they're like a punch. Whatever area you're kind of gaining for, you hope
that it's going to be close.
It's like when you punch, you feel pain. That wave. You feel that wave out of it, and that's, to me, like what I get when I painkillers is like I take them, and it's like I get punched in the center of my body, and then it's like little waves out of painkiller relief from there. But it's dull. It's more duller. Now with marijuana, it dulls the pain kind of the same way, but it's not that same feeling. It's like wherever I need it to go, it will go there and give me the most relief. It's weird. It's like a surgical strike rather than a bomb dropping down. I don't know.
I like to use, I don't need the surgical strike as much as I need the blanket protection, because from the instant,
it's good for that too, though.
That's what I'm saying. From the instant that I'm able to inhale marijuana after that violent sneeze, and I'm talking, if you haven't experienced that kind of shooting pain in your life, the only thing that I could ever describe to you would be, common pain that's like that is the shooting tooth pain from a broken tooth or a bad cavity or hot or cold, that kind of shooting pain where it almost like makes you black out and you're, get lightheaded. That's the kind of seizing pain that I'll experience right after a sneeze. So from the instant I can inhale marijuana and feel it in my lungs, instantly I feel the tension from the nerve pain itself start to dull.
Studies keep showing that.
It immediately triggers my mind to allow me not to concentrate on the pinprick that is going into my spine at wherever location it is. And then on top of that instantaneous relief, it's not enough. Unfortunately, most times it's not enough on its own, but I need it instantly because I need to take a pain like a Vicodin, and there's no way I can keep it down unless I've got that medicine, the natural medicine of cannabis flowing through my body almost ahead of time. As I'm ready to take that medication, I need to already have this in my hand burning, because aside from the dulling, mind-blowing, sharp nerve pain that I'm trying to dull, I also know that it's going to have a calming effect, because my stomach will get queasy just thinking about having to take medication.
Damn, that sucks.
So the instant calming effect that it has is it hits such an incredible array of symptoms with one medication that just is, as far as its productivity, as far as one medication hitting more than one symptom, it's crazy. And that's why I said the pharmaceutical company is never going to want a natural medication without side effect that anybody can obtain that they can't patent. They want medication that they can patent that causes some other problem that they can make a new medication for and patent that to cause a new problem and make a new medication for. So it's an unfortunate cycle that, unfortunately, not enough American is forward thinking enough to understand or want to understand
and that's what's
or
frustrating.
want to forget the reefer madness that they've been fed their whole life. It's
because those studies come out more and more and telling it. Like we talked in a little bit about. You thought how it would be impossible, and I think it is impossible. I agree with you too right now to be able to completely recreate marijuana into a pharmaceutical product as it is right now, as it affects you in its raw form. Now I agree with that. Now we need to find a way to do more study, to open up more grounds, but also not eliminate our ability to be able to continue to use it during that time. Because like we said, before we started the show, we talked a little bit about rescheduling and stuff like that. Maybe stuff we'll talk about in the future when it becomes more and more of an issue, because I think it is. People are going to start arguing that rescheduling is probably not the best thing that we could do for the community right now. And in a way, I could agree with that. And we talked about it a little bit before the show, in that we would have to wait 6 years. They would completely, if they rescheduled marijuana tomorrow to a Schedule 2, the government would take it out of all these dispensaries' hands, out of every single one of our hands, and give it to pharmaceutical companies and scientists that study these kind of things and do 6-year double-blind tests. Because that is
just
the key.
To bring a product
double-blind test is the key in most medicines.
Because they're trying to prove if their poison has enough potential benefit to outweigh the harm that has been demonstrated by whatever test groups,
and also that it's effective, because they give the other part of that is the placebo. They're making sure that a lot of people are being told 100%, because the placebo effect is huge in medicine.
But look, evolution tells us that you don't need 6 years of some idiots taking sugar pills to decide whether cannabis is beneficial. We simply wouldn't be using it as an herb
over 8,000
medicine for 10,000 years as a human being.
Yeah.
If it's not like it's myth or even opinion. The human brain is fully equipped with cannabinoid receptors. For some reason, somewhere along the line, we developed a place in our brain that is a perfect puzzle piece for another naturally occurring element in nature. That
some would say it's over thousands and thousands of years of use.
Yeah,
we became because proteins. When it comes down to proteins, our bodies use proteins to build. The protein is the building block of life. Builds everything that we are is built off of proteins. Now that some medical Ragnarok is going to come in here and be like,
no sir,
no, that's not
Ragnarok. What up?
Yeah, dude, what up? He sent me a message a couple weeks ago, wanting to keep in touch. He's been busy with med school, hasn't been able to keep up with as much. So we're with you. We're holding it down.
He's going to be my doctor in the future.
Hopefully, yeah. But
not even hopefully. Like, I already talked to him once for sure, dude. You're gonna have to get licensed in Colorado too, because I just, like I said, I'm gonna need. I plan on living a while.
But yeah, proteins. Where was I going with that? Do I even remember?
I got about 5.
Let's continue with the Pez.
100 grams of protein in my
your food proteins over here.
My daily cannabis pack of food today.
Dude, that's a grub. That's a lunchbox over there. Let's finish up this Pez real fast. You got any
granola and granola bar?
What's the final lead out to the Pez? Any growing tips there?
I actually haven't grown it myself. Like I said, this is one of our project growers has been bringing this in for us. It's I know that I've had a couple friends dabble with it. One of the things I'd like to figure out is I guess the family tree of where we're at with it, and if it's pink Pez or there's several different varieties. There's some question as to where it came from. It's certainly a well-respected sativa, but there's even rumors that say it may have been developed on Lopez Island as part of the Hutchison cancer research experiments out there. So who knows where it came from? If you have any idea, hit us up, because it's certainly become one of my incredibly utilized tools in the med kit here as of late.
That's for show. So if you'd like to check that out, make sure you check out In Harmony Wellness up north.
If you're around, stop by, check us out.
Yeah, they got other strains, other great things too. Also the Phoenix Tears, as Derek mentioned earlier in the show. And
so where did we go with that? Did we end up cutting that out?
What?
The Phoenix Tears conversation?
No, I think that's it.
I think we did.
No, I don't think we cut that out.
Did we finish talking
inside
about it?
That's inside the conversation of the 30 minutes giveaway.
All right. Because did we ever get to the point where it's separate from...
I don't think we cut that part out.
It's separate from Phoenix because in all the information you find online, they're primarily using naphtha, which is
I don't think you got into that. No, you didn't get into like what he uses, what Rick Simpson and the Phoenix Tears.
I thought you said something that Derek's recipe is a little different, and I said, well, it's not necessarily different. Rick Simpson has simply commercialized the hash oil.
Yeah.
So my hash oil, to make a long story short, I know that even if we started talking about it, we didn't finish. With those Phoenix Tears, you certainly, if you're making them yourself or you're getting them from someone, make sure they're using natural methods and clean, fit for human consumption things, because I'm not sure about the people that are using the naphtha or kerosene or those crazy solvents, how well they're able to test to make sure those solvents have left the finished product. Just use natural ingredients. I can't stress enough the importance of experimenting and doing research and trying to figure out the healthiest. Just because you have a technique down, simply don't stop there. Make sure you refine your technique until it's the healthiest for patients and painting the best light for cannabis.
C. I got you.
C.
That's a strain review on the John Doe Radio Show. We're reviewing Pez.
Pez. I love it.
Mostly
See how
sativa.
talkative we are.
Great strain. I like it. It's good. I still like the tangerine more than the Pez, though.
Oh, I love the tange.
John Doe Radio.
Warren Edson of the law firm Cumin Summers already offers you a wide range of cannabis legal services. Now experienced local attorney Chris Matz has joined Cumin Summers' new Denver office, providing further medical cannabis and criminal defense-related assistance. Visit medicalcannabiscouncil.com or call 303-831-8188. That's medicalcannabiscouncil.com or call 303-831-8188 to learn more about this team of legal professionals ready to help you or your business out. Are you tired of grow stores that aren't friendly with our cause or have high prices? If you're too busy and need a spot that will specialize its products just for you and deliver those products to your doorstep, look no further than Kyle's Grow Shop, based in North Denver and Broomfield at 12180 North Sheridan Boulevard. Special orders and membership packages with open communication about what will work great for you are just a few perks of what this friendly business can offer your grow. So next time you're in a shop and they don't have what you need or can't answer the questions you have, call Kyle's Grow Shop and special order your products and membership today. Visit kylesgrowshop.com or contact Kyle at 970-231-6792. That's kylesgrowshop.com or give a call 970-231-6792.
The John Doe Radio Show.
The John Doe Radio Show is brought to you by the THC Media Network. It's produced by Charlie Stash Entertainment. And big thanks to our guest this week, Sendog of Cypress Hill and the rap metal group SX10 and of ton other mixtapes and all other greatness. It's a good conversation with Sendog. I had an awesome conversation with him at the Mile High Music Fest too, so it's cool. It's good times. Maybe we'll get him on again and talk a little bit more about what he's been up to and about his musical career and all those other things. Big thanks to Alternative Wellness Center in Denver, 2647 West 38th Avenue. Give them a call, 720-855-6565. Ed and Pablo are awesome over there, and all the other crew. I can't thank those guys enough for helping us out in the FM. Doesn't look like we're going to continue on the FM because of how much it's basically charged, and we would have to raise to do it. And we'll see. Whatever works, works. I'm going with the flow.
Also, big thanks to Grow Your Own Grow Store in Denver. 303-990-1929 is how you get a hold of them. You can visit them at 2118 South Bel Air Street. That's in Denver. Give them a call, 303-990-1929. Those guys help me out with a ton of stuff, and I would not be able to even live with the roof over my head and have medicine at all, probably, if it weren't for those guys and the things that they do. Big thanks, big thanks. Also, big thanks to Kyle's Grow Shop in Denver. Go to kylesgrowshop.com. He can take care of your grow needs. Also, do some delivery and whatever works for you. That's about it.
Stay in Harmony.
Yeah, thanks to In Harmony. Obviously, I got to thank In Harmony Wellness every week. And Derek right now in front of me has put trail mix. I can't wait to try it. It looks absolutely fantastic. You know these little, what are these little, I was never a huge fan of these though. What are these called? They're like dried fruits?
It's dried pineapple.
Dried pineapple? Oh, even
not
worse.
Be a fan.
Pineapple. Because pineapple's a little... I'll eat these. I'll eat it. I'll eat the whole thing. And in fact, right now, that little...
Here, since I have it now and it's available, I'll give the proprietary mix. Let me look at it real quick just so I don't miss anything.
All right. I'll tell you right now, the Phoenix Tears that I took at the beginning of the day, that little pill, I could tell a big difference. I would maybe take a double, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Would you suggest that? Like Phoenix
Tears? I'd take two.
Yeah, take two a day, and it seems like it would really do great. I really see a difference, though.
So this mix has got the granola that I've been sitting on because I was too worthless to go out and get all the ingredients, and I finally have my opportunity. I've struck. I got the mix exactly how I want it now. I think it's about half the mix is my medicated granola, and then I replace that with equal parts of cashews, walnuts, cranberries, dried pineapple, yogurt chips. There's a few random pistachios.
Are those yogurt chips? I was really hoping that was gonna be chocolate, though.
No, heck no. White chocolate's not even chocolate anyway, so no, they're little yogurt chips. Chocolates. These are much healthier for you.
I'm getting really hungry right now.
It's really something that, like I said, I wish I would have had the capability or the availability to just, when we first cranked this out, like, I don't know, the first time we tried it was like 6 months ago, to just bring it out, when we thought of the water and all the beef jerky and stuff. It'd be really cool if I was in a position to just think of products and then have a team develop them, or at least, even since I figure it out, if I were just able to have a team that was sworn to secrecy, that was able to carry out, like the separate, if I could get some Oompa Loompas that would just tear the stuff out,
exactly,
and all I had to do was drop off the written recipe and the ingredients. Wow. But unfortunately, when you're building stuff by yourself,
ridiculous.
It takes a while to ramp up. So some products, and I guess that is the case with most products, dude. They come out, they're in development for a long time before they actually hit the market.
Yeah, you're going through the same thing a lot of other people have gone through. I'm sure the Oompa Loompa idea has been the thought of many an entrepreneur and proprietor of products. I'll tell you right now. I was wondering who I was going to get on next week, and you had mentioned somebody.
We're going to get Chris from Concentrate.
Chris Bliss. And I also have, I forgot here, I can't believe I had forgotten, but I also have Pat Stedman's card here, he's state senator here in Colorado. And he's also pro-legalization. And I talked to him at a party here a couple weeks ago, Medical Marijuana Assistance Program of the Rockies had, and he showed up too, so that was pretty cool. And he's pro-legalization. I'm not even going to go into the story because it was just, now that I thought about it, completely stupid. All right, and so that's what we'll try and plan for you next week. Who knows what will happen? It's always shoot from the hip here at the JDR. No, I'm kidding. We get more and more planned as things go, and as Derek pushes me to keep getting more and more planned. So, all right. In the stash this week is a group called The Literates. They did a song with Sendog. They did a few songs with Sendog, I should say. They're an awesome group. Got some awesome beats, and really, if you'd like to check them out online, a lot of their music is available. So just Google The Literates. It's good times.
Once again, I had a great time this week. I enjoyed doing the show more and more every week as we get it more refined and as we get more, I'm going to say, humble people on board with us and involved with what we're doing here. I've seen a lot of support and a lot of companies that are kind of trying to work with us on some level, I think. So, not a lot of companies, I guess I should say. Some loyal people. So, big thanks to all you guys, the listeners. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the show and enjoy what we're doing here. And hopefully, you enjoyed Derek this week. Had a nice... I think that if you were looking for Derek to talk a little more and less of me, this is the show you listen to this week. I say that with the best, dude. The Phoenix Tears making a difference.
All right.
Big thanks to Sendog this week and everybody else who's helped us out get to where we are. I am John Doe.
I'm Derek.
Till we meet again. See ya.
Attention, y'all. You are now listening to the Literates featuring Sendog. Another Anti-Ill Productions. West Side Strong coming at you, baby. This is how we do it. Check this out, homie. Don't you sleep. 'Cause we about to creep. Go take over the whole thing.
I should have been born with a blunt attached to my mouth. Just off the 110 South City of Green. Get the cream and be out. Pops taught me how to hustle. Told me, Tommy, never open your mouth. So unspoken's what the list is about. Backpack zipped, equipped, 12 ounces of soul. Crack back a quick fifth, vodka, Red Bull. Only rolling with a click-tight clan. It's either me and my man or 30 other brothers repping the band. Cali never was the type to pretend. I'll tell you straight to your face that you ain't shit. Then I'll spit in your hand. Have you exit in a coroner's van. Don't ever step to me, homie, if you ain't ready to war with the veteran. Been in it for years, spitting on the grind for a minute. On the taste for the papes, waiting on the day I'ma get it. See me on top, lavish with the life that I'm living. Never giving a second thought, so I took it and stayed driven. City of angels, city of dreams, but everything in the West ain't always what it seems. Gotta hustle for the cream, only roll with a strong team. About to dominate the scene, never sleep like crack fiends. City of angels, city of dreams, but everything in the West ain't always what it seems. Gotta hustle for the cream, only roll with a strong team. About to dominate the scene, never sleep like crack fiends.
I hail from the city of Southgate. Everybody stay heated, therefore a high crime rate. Never hesitate when opportunity is given. I'm like Doc Holliday and that's how I'm living. Third eye open at all times when I swerve. Keep a jam concealed just in case I gotta serve. Mad dog, don't take anybody lightly. We can bust rounds and put them down if you wanna fight me. Really, I just stay focused on the paper. Keeping pockets on full, pulling all musical capers. Out here, anything can bring you down. 8 million ways to die in a crazy town. Keep my circle small, just a chosen few. Fools with a lot of heart and paid a lot of dues. Check me on the album, honorary literate. Too damn high, put your ass out like a cigarette.
City of angels, city of dreams, but everything in the West ain't always what it seems. Gotta hustle for the cream, only roll with a strong team. About to dominate the scene, never sleep like crack fiends. City of angels, city of dreams, but everything in the West ain't always what it seems. Gotta hustle for the cream, only roll with a strong team. About to dominate the scene, never sleep like crack fiends.
Home of the scandalous, big bad Los Angeles.
LA is dangerous, walk around with an alias. It's my world, you're an alien invading it. It's unbelievable, like gods to an atheist. Bombing everything within an 80-mile radius. Snatch tourists by the tongue, leave them tasteless. You gotta love it, like Satan loves hatred. Remain sacred, murderous when we laced it. Anti-drop the track, so visuals had to rape it. There's no mistaking, we in it for the taking.
The John Doe Radio Show is produced by Charlie Stash Entertainment. The John Doe Radio Show programming is not limited to, but includes information and humor on counterculture subjects that is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. We specifically include responsible marijuana reform. Besides, listening to anyone but your mothers is plain stupid. We accept no responsibility for your actions or misrepresentations, and we do not fully endorse the use of illegal drugs. You are ultimately responsible for yourself.
Wow, that's some futuristic stuff there, man. That's very interesting. You know?
John Doe.